I just want to tie off section 2 by helping you maybe view exercise in a slightly different way. Every time you ever go to the gym or do any exercise wherever you normally do it, think of it as training movement instead of lifting or whatever else it is you're doing. You're training movement. Think about each of the movement patterns. Classify everything that you do in any movement into the 7 human movements and make sure that you're ticking all the boxes of human movement in every, it doesn't necessarily have to be every workout, but certainly every weekly program. So you might do squats and hinges on Mondays. You might do locomotion, rotation and anti-rotation on Tuesdays. It could be push and pull on Thursdays, and with elements of maybe locomotion as kind of the warm-up for each of them. Doesn't matter. That's going a little bit too much yet. But so when it comes to training movement, I want to introduce you to a principle that is so important that not understanding this principle is actually the main reason why all injuries in a training environment occur. I respectfully disagree with anybody that says, oh, sometimes injuries just occur. I disagree. I think that all injuries occur in a training environment because of a lack of knowledge or respect for this. Now, I call this the movement, speed, and load progression. Not very sexy, I need to come up with something else. But think of it this way. Any movement you do, you have to be able to perform that movement slowly first. Whether it be, if you're going to maybe go for a run, can you perform the movement slowly? Can you do a march in place? Then we add speed to any unloaded movement, just to mimic normal everyday speed. Then you can add load, which naturally slows back down the movement again. So you've got a slow movement with load. Then, as your training develops, you can start to speed up that loaded movement again. Maybe you're adding more load. Then you can start adding the explosive element. And that is where the money is. That is where this area is where I would want everybody to be able to train. To be able to train fast movements with a little bit, or maybe a lot in some cases, of load, or explosive movements. Explosive movement with load. Now, if you think, what is running? Running is an explosive movement with load, right? Running, you are propelling yourself forwards with the weight of your body is landing down on one leg at an explosive speed, and then you are exploding back up onto the next step. Jump roping, box jumping, those are all explosive movements with load. If you go to some class, such as, I don't know, like an entry-level class, think like boxercise. In a boxercise class, they're asking you to punch explosively at a bag or maybe a pad, so that's load added. But I would ask, have they ensured that the person in this position has explored every single part of that movement? Do they own every part of it? Have they speeded it up? Do they know how, does their brain and the body know how to perform the movement? If they do, great. Now, each of the 7 human movements have a full continuum. I only gave you a really brief explanation and an example of some of the continuums, right? But the hinge family has a list of about 50 really good high-value movements that are within it, as does a squat, as does the locomotion pattern. Some exercises that I would call golden movements are movements that have at least 2 or 3 movement patterns. So they're high value exercises. Now, if you go on to the MoveBetterBeStronger.life website and look at the blog, you'll find a blog about movement continuums. And within that blog, you'll find a list of all of the exercises we would ever prescribe within each movement continuum. You'll see that rolling, for instance, rolling is low-level locomotion. It's also low-level rotation. So you'll find a few crossovers, but just to give you that understanding, throughout all of the movement continuums, you'll notice that we use a lot of the lower level movements as activation exercises for pre-workout. Train movement. Movement comes first. Train all the different movement patterns. Why? Use it or lose it.